Is it SCOTUS Summer or COVID Summer? The rates are so high right now.
Oh my God.
Wow, on that happy note, killing the mood here.
Killing the mood. Healthcare in America.
Rolling forward, doctor, sister, science, facts.
Welcome to this week's episode of the Rolling Forward podcast. I'm Dr. Stephanie Rolin.
I'm Dr. Alicia Rolin.
I'm a psychiatrist.
And I'm a pediatrician.
And we both do research and then podcast in our free time.
Plus all our clinical work.
Yep, balancing it all. And this summer, we are focusing on SCOTUS decisions from 2025.
All rise for the Honorable Judge Marshall Stevens.
Honorable.
They had a busy year.
They had a busy year. There are a lot of Supreme Court cases that were decided on this year that have really brought impacts on healthcare in America.
Today, we're going to talk about a case called Kennedy v. Braidwood.
This essentially gets to this core question of who decides what health insurance has to cover, and can employers refuse free healthcare on religious grounds? Now, this is not the first time we have seen a similar case. There was a big legal challenge by, oh my God, it's that store I never go to.
Hobby Lobby.
Hobby Lobby. There was a big legal challenge by Hobby Lobby asking the question, do employers, religious employers, have to cover birth control and reproductive health services that they don't believe in?
In a major ruling today, the Supreme Court said that some employers cannot be forced to cover birth control in their health plans if that violates their religious beliefs.
The majority decision by Justice Samuel Alito emphasized religious rights and marked the first time the court has allowed a for-profit corporation this type of religious exemption.
Now people on both sides of the ruling are wondering, what's next? Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, in her dissent, wrote, would the exemption extend to employers with religiously grounded objections to blood transfusions, antidepressants, medications derived from pigs, including anesthesia, and vaccinations? Many legal experts argue the Affordable Care Act is just the beginning for what may change as a result of the Hobby Lobby decision.
And here we are, 15 years later.
It's so interesting that for a country that has mandated separation of church and state, this is another case about how much can the church influence the state? These are the questions that keep coming up.
Docket number 545362.
The plaintiff of the case is Braidwood Management. It's a Christian-owned business, and they objected specifically to covering PrEP and broader preventative services on religious grounds. PrEP is pre-exposure prophylaxis for HIV. When taken as prescribed, PrEP can be 99% effective in preventing HIV transmission.
Which is amazing.
Amazing.
Less people with HIV.
Incredible.
And yet, Braidwood Management, as a Christian-owned business, objected to PrEP and broader preventative services on religious grounds.
Their lawsuit focuses on the U.S. Preventive Services Task Force, a body that's recommending services that they're mandated to cover, but these individuals that make up the task force are not appointed by the president or the Senate.
Braidwood's claiming that these members are unconstitutionally appointed and that any recommendations that they're making are invalid.
That's their first major argument that they make in their lawsuit. The second is about religious freedom, and they argue that they're being forced to provide coverage for certain services like PrEP that violates their religious beliefs, and they're suing on the basis of the Religious Freedom Restoration Act.
And so, with cases, they wind their way slowly through the courts.
Very slowly.
Very slowly. In 2022, there was a ruling in the Northern District of Texas that declares that the ACA's preventative service mandate is unconstitutional under both the Appointments Clause and the Religious Freedom Restoration Act. So both of these grounds, the judge says, are valid. The ACA coverage requirements are unconstitutional. And this decision leads to a nationwide injunction, which is a court order that blocks this federal policy or law from being enforced anywhere in the United States. So not just for Braidwood, but for everyone.
And this means that services like colonoscopies, depression screenings, all of a sudden might have cost sharing. Like your insurance does not have to cover preventative services.
So after that 2022 ruling, there's an appeal, goes to the Fifth Circuit Court. The Fifth Circuit Court again upheld this ruling, but decided to limit relief only to the individual plaintiffs. So the switch here is they don't make a different decisions, but they say, hey, this is about Braidwood only. There's no nationwide injunction. So after that 2024 ruling, the ACA coverage reinstitutes for the rest of America while appeals continue, and then it goes up to the Supreme Court.
The Supreme Court decided to hear the case in January. They heard arguments later that spring and then ultimately came to a decision in June.
What's really interesting about this is when the Supreme Court decided to hear arguments, that's called they granted cert. They granted cert only on the appointments issue. And what they considered specifically was, does the structure of the United States Preventive Task Force violate the Appointments Clause? And if it does, should the preventative care mandate be invalidated or separated from the Affordable Care Act?
Things I never thought that we would talk about.
It's interesting because they really get into the weeds on this, like the other cases. It isn't just a general decision. They get very, very granular, making a decision about something, but then that granular decision has these macroscopic consequences.
So the court rules 6-3 that the appointment of the members of the United States Preventive Service Task Force are constitutional and are consistent with the Appointment Clause. Essentially, they decide that the members are subject to sufficient supervision by the Secretary of Health and Human Services because they are removable at will, and that their recommendations can be reviewed or blocked by the Secretary before they go into effect. And so they decide that the structure complies with constitutional requirements.
So basically, this preventative service coverage remains constitutional. However, they did this by confirming that the HHS Secretary can appoint and remove members at will and block recommendations, which essentially is granting greater political control over health policy to the HHS Secretary, which right now is Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
The way that it's worded, the way that the court decides, really grants power to the Secretary of Health and Human Services that he can block any recommendation by the Preventive Service Task Force. It is not hard to see Secretary RFK Jr. deciding that he's going to block recommendations for vaccines because that is not part of his purview, even though the Preventive Service Task Force recommends vaccines.
So the United States Preventative Task Force has been looking at the evidence and at the data and making recommendations. And that's how we should be thinking about healthcare, and really does politicize the scientific health body now by giving more control to the political appointee than to the evidence.
When you initially review this case, it seems like a win that we're going to continue covering preventative care services at no cost for Americans.
Which I'm really grateful that that is the case for now.
And yet I have this bitter aftertaste in my mouth being like, oh, what is going to be considered recommended preventative health services in the future? And what have we done?
It really leaves multiple issues open, like the religious exemptions, which have not been addressed in this case. And then it opens new challenges, like saying the HHS Secretary can just block recommendations if they want to. This is giving a lot more power to the HHS Secretary for this administration and future administrations moving forward.
Yeah. Yep.
So the preventative services do remain standard at no cost. Please go get your no-cost preventative health services while they're available.
That's amazing. It's benefiting millions of Americans. It's making America healthy again. It is one of the most important parts of healthcare is preventing disease, catching disease early.
And cervical cancer screening saves lives. Mammography save lives. These are life-saving preventative services that should be available at no cost.
It's just leaving some battlegrounds open for future litigation.
But for now, they're available. And go get your no cost coverage screenings, whatever's recommended for you.
Before there's a new lawsuit, because I think there's ongoing litigation right now about vaccines. There's ongoing litigation about maternal and child health. There's ongoing litigation about Administrative Procedure Acts claims. There's just a lot of future battles that we're going to wait and see.
And we'll be here with you. This is our show for this week. Within 2 hours of us recording the episode, there has been a news update. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has abruptly canceled the planned meeting of the United States Preventive Services Task Force for July, which has prompted alarm from healthcare leaders that this signals increasing political interference with this panel's scientific independence, and is reportedly planning to dismiss all 16 current members of this task force, saying that the panel is overly, quote, woke.
This is giving a lot of deja vu with the previous Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices, or ACIP, in which, after coming into office, RFK Jr. canceled the first ACIP meeting, postponed the next, proceeded to fire the entire panel, and then hand choose his own members for the vaccine committee. And you can hear some of our prior episodes about that.
Without a functioning task force, new recommendations could stall, existing ones could expire, and there will be confusion around insurance and barriers for patients trying to get coverage.
The USPSTF has historically operated completely independent of any political leadership. It really focuses on science and data. And so this move kind of signals a shift towards more ideological control, possibly prioritizing political personal beliefs over general public health consensus, over general evidence. And it makes me worry about recommendations for things like PrEP, pre-exposure prophylaxis for HIV prevention, vaccines, contraception, LGBTQIA care. And so I am waiting to see what changes will be made in recommendations. Are we going to stop recommending vaccines? Are we going to stop recommending PrEP?
And those kinds of decisions could lead to some new lawsuits. If he is using this power to dismantle or silence an evidence-based advisory board, he could be charged with violating the intent of the Affordable Care Act.
The role of the U.S. Public Service, or the role, I say it wrong every time, the role of the USPSTF is to help prevent disease. It's to help reduce health disparities. It's to save money through early detection. RFK Jr. has made the basis of his campaign of Make America Healthy Again on chronic diseases. This overturn of the USPSTF is highly concerning, and it can possibly lead to less people getting preventive care. It can lead to increased long-term costs. It could lead to actually health harm.
You make a really good point about how he just keeps campaigning and he keeps talking about Make America Healthy Again. And there's something that you said in one of our earlier episodes, one of our very early episodes about Robert F. Kennedy Jr. before he was confirmed as Secretary of HHS, which is Make America Healthy Again for who? His focus seems to be on helping only a certain group of people that he feels are worthy of help based on having made good decisions about their healthcare, and not trying to provide services to people who have made bad decisions who somehow deserve the consequences of that.
I feel like if your whole shtick is reducing chronic diseases and increasing preventative services in America, like this should be your number one guiding light. You should be following USPSTF. But instead, here we are talking about dismantling, firing all members, and then maybe possibly hand choosing new members. So
an evolving story, but we will not let this stop us from sharing our song about this case.
I feel like we have to update our song now.
There's going to be more chapters, more verses to come on this song.
And sadly, this is the second ending of our podcast. We had to addend.
Hopefully there won't be a third one before we publish this in just a day or two. But it really, the health news is moving that fast. So thanks for being here with us.
I'm Dr. Alicia Rolin.
I'm Dr. Stephanie Rolin.
Reach out to us on social media. We're on lots of different platforms, including TikTok, Blue Sky, X. Send us an email at rolin_show, ROLIN_show@gmail.com.
Like and review our podcast, share it with a friend. We'd love to hear from you.
Until next time, and let's jam out in this week's song.
Let's hit it.
The ACA said let's keep folks well. with statin screenings, no copay help. But Braidwood shouted, now just hold tight, that PrEP pill's not part of our holy right. They claimed these mandates go too far. We're Christian owned, not NPR. No free birth control on our dime. And don't say prostate checks are divine. The task force gives an A or B, 'cause Sarah said emphatically, for pap smears, pills, and flu vaccine. Preventive care, not some grand scheme. It's not about beliefs or blame. It's basic health, not a morals game. Folks wait to see the score. Will HIV meds cost much more? Will cancer checks become deluxe? Or will the court say you're out of luck? It's not hot girl summer, it's SCOTUS summer. The robes are black and the vibes are bummer. 9 folks dropping drama like it's pop confetti. I got constitutional whiplash, baby, and I'm not ready. HIV meds cost much more. Will cancer checks become deluxe? Or will the court say you're out of luck? It's not hot girl summer, it's SCOTUS summer. The robes are black and the vibes are bummer. 9 folks dropping drama like it's pop confetti. I got constitutional whiplash, baby, and I'm not ready.